For more than a century, the Kohler family has organized, expanded, and administered one of the most successful privately owned companies in the world. Their multi-dimensional rise to the top of the international manufacturing business is the stuff of which movies are made. Yet outside of the boardroom, Herb Kohler tells the story of generations of Kohlers struggling to find a balance between their flourishing family business and their tenuous family relationships.
My father on the steps of the 20th Century Limited train from New York in Chicago. Here he is coming down the steps, and I said, "Pop, I need to tell you something. Number one, I'm about to get married. Number two, I'm not going to take another penny from you for the rest of my life. I just needed to do that." So, he chewed cigars at that stage of his life, and this cigar literally dropped out of his mouth. We walked down the platform, and that's the last I saw of him for quite a long time. I went off and got married. I decided that I really needed to get serious and attempt a profession to earn a decent living. I applied to and was accepted at Yale and majored in business administration. Took this young woman and off we went.
Do you ever look back and think about stories like that? Is it a time in your life when you're doing that these days?
If I ever do it, it's never with regret. I just enjoy the experiences I've had and wouldn't trade it for anything.
Let's talk about you and your dad. You called him Pop. I would expect father, something more formal in the Kohler family. What was your relationship like? It sounds like it was tough for a while anyway.
It was tough because I couldn't do what he wanted me to do. I had to learn who this person was.
How did you know that? That's a great self-wisdom that people sometimes when they're 60 still don't know that that's important.
Well, I just knew I had to be my own person long enough, go through a variety of experiences to understand my limits, my capabilities.
Did your father ever understand that, do you think?
I think eventually he did. It hurt him a great deal because of my rebellion. But I graduated from Yale and was working elsewhere out in the East. He found me on the phone.
Were you shocked?
I was very shocked.
Were you happy?
Or I was just nonplussed. I was just, how in the world did he find me?
Did he say, "This is your pop," or did he say, "This is your father"? Do you remember?
"This is your father." But I could recognize the voice immediately.
What did he want?
Well, we had a little conversation, and he said, "Herb, I would really like you to come to Kohler." I said, "Pop, do you understand? I haven't spent the last 3 years of my life in rebellion just to come back to Kohler. I really can't do that." And we had a few more pleasantries, and I hung up politely. About 3 days later, I called him back. I said, "Pop, I've been thinking about what you said. You have to know that I love the place. There is one circumstance under which I will come back, and that is if you promise faithfully never to have anything to do with my career, nothing to do with the job I get, nothing to do with any promotion, nothing to do with any form of discipline. You just stay completely away, and we can have a social life, but no business life." And he promised.
That must have taken a lot for him.
Well, it was, but he really wanted me to come back.
You have 3 children.
Right.
When they were growing up again in the same circumstance of being in Kohler, did you have any empathy for them, and did you try to cut them a wide path so that they wouldn't have that reaction? They wouldn't want to be rebels?
I learned a pretty good lesson. I decided that I would never talk about the company with my children unless they asked me a question. I just never, ever spoke about it or any expectancy. And they went off to good colleges, got themselves into these places. Laura got into Duke, Rachel got into Princeton, and David into Duke, all on the honor roll. And when they graduated, they went off to get their masters, and then Laura developed her own theater company. Rachel became a consultant with Booz Allen, and David a marketing manager in fine china for Dayton Hudson in Minneapolis. It was curious. Something would happen in this business, and I would have a job opening. And if I happened to think the job opening was well suited for one of them, I'd call them up. And I said, I want you to listen to this. And it's just, all it is an opportunity. It's not a requirement. It's not something you have to do. It's just an opportunity. And you consider it against what you have today and where you're going. If you take it, I hope to have a good life with you. If you don't, I will still have a good life. And one by one, each of them accepted.
When the Kohler family gets together now, do you talk business?
Most of it is dealt with outside of a family get-together.
Are you pleased with the way it's turned out?
Yeah.
Is it what you hoped for, or did you ever have any hope that you never spoke about that they would come, or did you really have no expectation?
I didn't. I thought it would be great if one of them, several did, but I didn't expect it.
And you have grandchildren now.
Not only do I have 10 grandchildren, I have a great-grandchild.
Congratulations.
And last Sunday, I officiated at the marriage of a granddaughter.
All right, how did you get to be an officiant? Tell me you went online and got some kind of a minister.
I did.
You did not. Oh, no.
I did.
So you can now marry any of us?
Yes.
Well, if I ever get in that position again, I'm calling you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And did you carry it off well?
Yes, I did. White robes.
Oh, no, really? Oh, I want pictures of this. This would be great. Do you have any, only in the thoughts of your mind, not in expressing it to anybody else, dreams or hopes that one or more of those grandchildren or great-grandchildren will become part of the company?
There's always the possibility, but I think it's more important to encourage them to live to their skills and their own dreams, whatever they might be. I just think it's really important to do that. And if there's an opportunity that arises, great. But if not, then we carry on without a Kohler.
That would be sad.
Well, the company does particularly well when a Kohler is present. I've noticed this with David and some of his executives, that people respond to David much more than they will to one of his executives.
Mm-hmm.
It's really curious.
You were 27 when you came back?
I came back as an R&D technician, and then a schedule coordinator, and then a general supervisor of warehouse and packing, then a factory systems manager, and then my father dies. And 2 weeks later, I'm sitting around a table in this room, and there wasn't any carpet on the floor.
Didn't look like this then.
No, there's 4 of us. The treasurer, there's the vice president of labor relations, the vice president of law, and me, factory systems manager. And we just sat down and tried to figure out how this company was going to be organized. And the treasurer became president. The vice president of labor relations became chairman and CEO. Law became senior vice president of law. And I became vice president of operations. The man who I was reporting to the day prior suddenly became reporting to me.
Was it intimidating at all to you?
Well, yes, but you can't convey that. You just have to get your act together pretty quick.